Yes.
Ready? All right. Good evening, everybody. If you all would, please stand, face the flag, to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I have to do the disclaimer again. Corey Taylor.
Here.
Matt Sheridan.
Here.
Vanessa Riggs.
Here.
Dwayne Matzel here, and Sandra Hicks is not with us yet. Just a reminder for those that may not know, the meetings are now being recorded and posted on to the YouTube channel. If at the end, when you are allowed to speak, please state your name clearly and then proceed with your business. All right. So, June meeting minutes. You both had time to take a look at those?
Yeah.
Yep. Any questions or concerns about the June meeting minutes? None? Okay, make a motion to approve the Owensville Town Council meeting minutes from June the 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. The claims from the town from June 4th to July 1st, 2025. You guys had both had time to take a look at those. Did you see anything? No?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Saw, Doug was paid, is that on that?
That completely finished? Okay. Make a motion to approve the town's claims from June the 4th through July the 1st in the amount of $185,619.61.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hi, Sandra.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Sorry I'm late.
The Park and Rec Board meeting minutes from May the 27th, 2025. Everybody's had the opportunity to look them over. Nobody sees any issues. Okay.
I do have one question about that. They have been working on the trails, I guess, down at the park? Okay. Yeah, there was a question brought up to me by a couple different people asking if those would be cleared.
Yeah, they put stairs, they built steps.
Yeah, I saw
Go
that.
all the way down, yeah.
And the plan is to clear that all the way out, all the way back around like it used to be?
Yes, I assume so, yes.
Cool.
I will make a motion to approve the Park and Rec Board meeting minutes from May 27, 2025.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then the Park and Rec claims. These are from April 30th through May 27th of 2025. Any issues? All good? All right, make a motion to approve the claims from the Park and Rec Board for April 30th through May 27th, 2025 in the amount of $8,776.55.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. We have an adjustment. Cameron? Okay. Can you try to explain to us what has happened? I know very little bit about this situation.
So our water bill was, I think it was like $500. We had a leak in one of our bathrooms under the sink and in the shower, and it was just running water consistently. We just moved in, and we didn't know about it. My dad came and fixed it, so we shouldn't have any problems with it now.
So, is that different than what we were told? Prior to
Where
this.
was it actually, where was the leak? Was it running in the faucet?
The faucet, I don't know if it was under the sink. I'm not sure because I wasn't home when he fixed it. And then there was a leak in the like the shower part. We don't know if it was from the pipes or he came and fixed it.
All right, so just real quick, just to clarify, and explain a little bit. So when we make water adjustments, so once the water is used, it's used. The state says that you have to pay that, the water part.
Yeah.
The sewer part is what's expensive, right?
Yeah, I paid the water part.
So the sewage part, we can adjust that out as long as it doesn't go through the sewer system. So that's kind of where we're trying to get at. I guess we need some more information. We need to get some clarification from your father who fixed it.
Okay.
On where exactly these leaks were and if it went through the system.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, a leaky toilet, if you go in your bathroom and your commode is running, that water is going through our system, so we're not allowed to adjust that
Gotcha.
off. So, can you have, I guess,
Sandra, I have a question then. Okay, so Karen left me a note, and she said there's nothing to base the adjustment on, because normally, she's a new customer. Her first bill was the high one, and her second bill is extremely high. And Karen said there's no way she can do an adjustment on that, because you have to be there at least 3 months.
I think that's bullshit.
well, let's watch our language, please. I understand, we are trying to work here and trying to work with you, and we're just explaining,
Yeah.
there are some things that we have our hands tied on. So we will do everything that we can to help this situation, but we need clarification.
You
Okay.
understand
So
what
we're not saying,
Yeah.
we're not saying
yeah,
no.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from.
We're not
And
saying,
I'm sorry,
No,
Denise,
you're
I
fine.
don't know the answer to your question, Vanessa,
Okay.
so I would have to look at that, honestly.
Okay.
And we do need more information. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically, they need a baseline,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, I can find out.
If there's no way to verify it, you need some way to verify what,
We don't know that. I
Yeah,
don't
that's-
know. I need to
that's-
look at it. I
'Cause-
don't know that
'cause
to be a fact. I
the,
don't know.
the only information that we have for sure is that the previous owner, their bill normally ran between $80 to $100.
Yeah.
But that was with their usage.
Yeah.
So, and then whenever, the actual owner of the property was doing work in the home, he still had the water turned on, he ran the minimum bill because he wasn't doing laundry and dishes.
Yeah.
He was just in the house, probably cleaning.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as you moved in May, the water bill shot up to over $500, and then the second bill was $479.
Okay.
So,
Can we defer the late payment at least? Like,
I think so. I think that would be appropriate.
Until we figure
let's
everything
figure that
out.
out. As far as whether or not this is gone through the system, if you can talk to him and maybe there's some receipts on what he had to purchase to fix it.
Okay,
I mean, we have to determine whether or not, I mean, we can't, I don't wanna say we can't just take your word for it, because, I mean, we're not saying you're liars, we just have to be able to back up what we're
Gotcha.
agreeing to do. So if he has something to kind of show what he had to do, fix it, if it's just piping, maybe we can understand that that's not inside the
okay,
stuff and it went out into the, or if he's got pictures maybe.
okay.
That would help for sure on that end. As far as this, we could let her figure out what we can do.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, anything else?
Nope, that's
So,
it.
so for now, like you said, the lake,
We'll just leave him in limbo.
yeah, it's just kind of, we'll get there.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Well, all right. So last week, or last month, it was brought up about folks wanting to be allowed to have chickens on their property. Where we don't want people to not be able to raise chickens and have eggs. So, but there have to be guidelines and rules, correct? So, Sandra has written up an ordinance for us.
Yes, it's amending, did you see any corrections, Vanessa?
No,
Okay.
no, I'll have it
It
printed out.
is, you want me to read it? Read it,
That'll be
okay.
fine.
And I believe it's amending ordinance 1988-5.
On the ordinance that I found, it just had 1988.
Okay, all right, but it was published and everything. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 1988, an ordinance regarding the control, care, and disposition of animals. It doesn't change everything, it's just certain sections. Whereas the town of Owensville has found a necessity exists requiring reasonable control of animals and now wishes to adopt an ordinance relating to the care, control, and disposition of animals located within the corporate limits. Now therefore be it ordained by the town council of the town of Owensville, Indiana as follows, that ordinance 1988 of the Owensville Municipal Code entitled an ordinance regarding the control, care, and disposition of animals be and the same is hereby amended thereto the following provisions. Section 1B, Gibson County Animal Services. This just had Gibson County Humane Society. So the facility established for the purpose of animal control, care, and disposition supervised and under the control of Gibson County Animal Services. Section 2R, certain animals prohibited. As shall be a violation to keep live goats, swine, cattle, or horses in the town. Chickens or fowl are limited to 5 hens. No roosters shall be allowed within the corporate limits of the town. Chicken or fowl shall be kept 50 feet from any residence other than the residence of the owner of the chicken or fowl. Section 3, permits is hereby rescinded. We don't require permits, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Section 4, permit fees is hereby rescinded. All other provisions of ordinance number 1988 shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage by the council of the town of Owensville.
So, does anybody up here have any objections to that?
That's, the 50-foot thing was the thing that they had. Yeah. That's good.
Does anybody in the public have anything to add to that? Okay. Then I will make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-6, an ordinance amending ordinance 1988 regarding the control, care, and disposition of animals.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so, the flooring at the building, the town's building over here on Montgomery. So we had them get back with us on pricing. So they've given us a flooring allowance of
or they're asking for a flooring allowance of $4,700, with the labor being $4,500.
Have you talked to Rick about this?
No, he knew about it, he's seen it, but he knows that me and Karen had picked out the flooring for it.
But the only thing I'm thinking about is, square footage being different. You know, we can calculate square footage, but what they actually need is probably more because of all the cuts.
Yeah, and this is just an estimate.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big jump though.
Mhm.
Do we have anybody else giving us a quote on it?
No.
Are you saying you want another quote?
I think so.
Man, I probably would.
I mean,
Yeah.
especially, so,
I think we need to look at that. That seems high.
So-
But
so-
it doesn't necessarily.
so the quote we got from the contractors
$2,000 more.
is $4,700, but then some personal research, some by Vanessa and,
Quick math.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's about 2,700.
Which building is it?
The,
Right here.
used to be the salon, little white building across from the library over here. Yep, I think I wanna table it. You okay with that?
Yeah, I think we need to.
I think we need to, yeah. Look into it and get another, see if we can get some more quotes.
Second, third quote anyway, right?
Do what?
We-
I
This
think-
wasn't part of the original quoting.
No, he already done this part,
Yeah,
the widening of the
floor is an
doors.
add-on.
The floors was an add-on. All right. Looks like we are to Tyler Burr, here from the Gibbs County History Museum.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Alan Burr. My first name is Tyler, but I go by Alan.
Okay.
I grew up here in Owensville. My dad was a pastor of Day Spring Church for 23 years, and I love our community. And one of the things that I know very well in my current role as historian at the Princeton Public Library is that we are losing history fast. Our county is 212 years old, and if you have been paying attention, you know that we've lost historic landmarks in rapid succession over the past 5 years. The old Methodist Episcopal Church was built in 1893 in Princeton. It was lost to a fire on January 20th of this year. Right here in Owensville, Holder's Funeral Home was built in 1885, lost in 2023. The Fraternal Order of Eagles over in Oakland City was built in 1924, lost to fire in 2021. We are quickly losing history in our area, and we have a history that's worth preserving. And so, if you look at all of the counties surrounding us, they all have history museums, except for Gibson County. Even if you look across the river to our neighbors over in Illinois, White, Wabash, and Lawrence all have history museums, but we don't. And I think that there's enough economic momentum in our community, in our county, to sustain something like this. I'm not asking you for money. I've been telling all of the county councils, all of the town councils, the same thing. What I need from you is I need support in whatever way that you can give it. We need people who have resources, whether it's, a lead on land where we can build, whether it's donations for, historical items of various sorts. We're looking for partners, is what we're looking for. And being from Owensville, I know that we have a lot of rich history to offer. And so what you have in front of you is basically just a very simple mock-up of where we are, a description of the project, give you a roadmap, the steps that we're taking right now, and then on the very back page you have my contact information. I think that this is a project that's well worth putting time and effort into, and if we can get as many community partners and community leaders behind this project as we can, we'll actually see this actually come to completion. So, any questions?
Have you had any thoughts on where this would be?
So I'm looking all across the county. The Prince Clarion ran an article in which I mentioned just a couple of locations. We've actually expanded far beyond just Princeton. We're looking Oakland City. We're looking out toward Lyle Station. We're looking up towards Hazleton. We're keeping everything open because we know that even though it's going to have to be located in one municipality, we have to make sure that we are keeping our minds open because this is going to be a county museum, not a city-specific museum.
Yes.
Anything else? Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, looks like the next thing we have is the watermelon run. They've set the path, and we've just asked them to give us an idea of where it's gonna be so that we can approve it, I guess. Make sure,
This is the
same
same
path.
path as last
And
year.
they've got, you guys are all on board, know what's going on? Okay. Feel safe with it? And they only cross, well, they just cross First Street, they don't even cross State Highway on this one.
It's a whole lot better than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Years ago, we crossed the highway several times.
Yep. I don't have any problem with it.
I'm good with it.
Make a motion to approve the route for the watermelon run of 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, it's a lot better than it used to be.
It's definitely safer.
Yeah.
And then Rick, Billy, you,
I hadn't heard from him.
okay.
Billy's on vacation.
Billy's on vacation. Did they tell you about this beacon?
Yeah,
Is it
and
the same beacon basically that we've got on the other pumps?
I think so, and Josh probably could shed some
Oh,
light on
yeah.
it. On the Omni beacon?
So we had a small, I guess, personal family pump put up here on Walnut Street for the Wilders. Their property was it was the one that was backing up that we had trouble with, and we found out that it was because of the pump that we had put in a different location, and it was above there. So we had a pump put in, and so now they're wanting to put this.
I think this is just a little added more protection, what Billy had Schaefer to quote it to see.
At the money.
Yeah, we have the money.
So it's gonna send a message to their cell?
Yeah.
My understanding, yes.
I think that's peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A motion to approve the purchase of the alarm for the amount of $19.95, $1,995.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
I would like to just say a couple of things if I can.
yes, please.
I'm not gonna cause any trouble. My name's Pat Wilder, and I do want to say I thought Keith Knight did a very good job on what he did. Now, and I do want to apologize for the statement that I made last meeting. I said I hoped it never rained again. I'm sorry. I want it to rain. So those are the two things I want to say. Now, I don't know if Jack has any questions about, you were talking about the electric and the,
How are we going to do that?
you know,
Have we
have.
not?
When the ordinance or something going to be wrote up, I know Sandra was talking about it last meeting.
About whether it was gonna be
About
fed
that.
from their house or their RV.
Right. If that's something you have to think about, that's fine,
It is because I need them to explain it to me again,
yeah.
because I want to
And-
make sure we get it right.
And we have been using I'm gonna call it an astronomical amount of water on the, watering the new yard. So I guess we'll be getting that water bill tomorrow. maybe.
So that actually, I believe, has already been taken care of through the sprinkler credit.
Yeah, you
So-
are under the sprinkler credit, so, yeah.
So to just be for the water, no sewer.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad this has been done. I hope for rain and I hope it all works. Yeah,
It will.
I really do.
It will.
And that's all I've heard is positive. It's gonna work. It's gonna be, so, thank you.
Okay. Roger?
The only thing I'm gonna bring up is, I had some people that asked me about putting a three-way stop at Smith Street and Rock Road. There's a stop sign right there at Smith Street when you come to Rock Road that they was inquiring about putting a three-way there to slow them down, coming into town and going out of town. And I did sit down there and run some radar, and I got some at 60 mile an hour, and coming down 30 into the 20.
That very narrow street,
Yeah.
pretty narrow through there.
And then, I was talking to Vanessa today, and she had a citizen's concerns about over here at Montgomery and Third. And it's the streets that's mainly got
They have
a
one,
stop sign on it. you know
they
what I
got
mean?
one stop sign and
So.
they can make it all the way
That
down.
would be a good one, and then Randy here, Main Street, right there at Clark,
And popcorn.
or Poplar Street, and man, should probably be another good area to maybe put one up, but. Yeah, but if it's slow, you wouldn't have, a 3-block span or 4 blocks.
And you wouldn't have me running out in the road chasing cars down It's either that or I'm gonna put my 9-year-old out in the lawn chair with my blow dryer, like spotting people.
We've been running quite a bit of radar on Main Street too, trying to, got a couple down through the other day, but we've had some issues out, like a certain couple people. So we're trying to nip that, but we will eventually catch them, take care of it.
I think the one over on, is it Rock Road? Rock Road, Smith Street, that would not be a bad idea.
Yeah, Smith is the last one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's last year.
The last street.
Well, they mentioned to me about putting one, about coming in, but I think it would be best to
Oh, yeah.
have 3 ways, or a 2-way stop. Because going out,
Funny.
they're gonna be running just as hard as they are coming in. And there is a lot of kids right in there. There wasn't, 5 to 10 years ago, but now there's several kids running around up through there on the streets.
Now, Do you have any idea how many discussions I had the last time we put a four-way in? You imagine if we just go down, how much are stop signs going for these days? I'm just joking. I don't,
I think we need to do some
Well, I know
study.
Okay, the one at Third and Montgomery, which is right over here by Mo Crabtree's house.
yeah.
If you go east, you've got a four-way there.
Mm.
And then if you go down one more, there's the First Street, and that's a four-way. And there's a lot of little kids that ride their bike up and down through here. And they said cars just fly down Third Street.
You know, the trouble streets right now.
just
is
keep
really the
pushing
ones
them.
that don't have
We just
stop
keep moving them up to Main Street, and then we'll have to put one here at Main and Montgomery. I mean, it doesn't bother me to put a four-way at every intersection if people can't learn how to drive safely through town. But I don't really want to do that.
If you want us to document, maybe for a month, see what rate.
I like that idea.
We can do that, kind of give you an idea.
I like that.
Security footage I can send you too.
You would have to do an ordinance anyways.
Right,
on
right.
both of them, so,
All three of them.
all three, yeah.
That would help you kind of make a decision too, on how many cars that's possibly going down through those areas.
Yeah.
Rock Road, I don't believe there's a whole lot of cars, you know, Main Street there is.
The one on Main and Third those will be the big ones, cause I know there's a lot of people that used to frequent other roads. Now that they've got a four-way stop on them, now they frequent Third Street because it's a straight shot.
No, they do, and I know they do. And then, like I say, the one on Rock Road, I'm not saying it's not important, because it is, there's kids there as well as there are over here. But, you know, they're complaining mainly Toyota traffic, people taking the back way into Toyota.
Mhm.
And then you've got the, you know, the Rock Road venue out there too, and they have a lot of wedding receptions, so traffic's picking up down there too, you know.
Yeah, get us some radar data and let us know what you've been seeing in those areas.
Can I bring up a subject kind of along those lines? Something that attaches to those stop signs, the new fad is electric bikes, e-bikes. And parents are I didn't know if there was a statute or anything on these things yet. I know there's a statute on the mopeds with 50 cc's, anything 50 cc.
I did stop a electronic bicycle just a couple days ago for running 31 and 20.
Well, and
I think a new
the
law was
parents,
passed today for this.
parents do what?
I think a new law was passed today for this.
Did it?
Yes.
Well, there's been people calling
We'll
and saying
we'll give
that
you
they're
we'll give
running-
you time here a little
The
bit.
parents are turning their kids loose on these electric bikes and they're disregarding stop signs and they're running speeds the cars are running, you know, so,
Yeah.
you know,
I know they run the speed, because like I say, I got that one and stopped him and explained to him that he couldn't do that, but versus running stop signs, the ones that I have seen, I don't care if they're on a bicycle, I'll stop and tell them, hey,
yeah,
sign says stop, it needs to read it.
Yes, and if you're on the road on a bicycle, even if it's not electric, you're supposed to follow the rules of the road,
Yeah.
so.
so that
I
just,
don't know if they did pass a new law or anything, I would have to look
Okay.
at that, but it's a problem in Fort Branch for sure.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, they just had a little boy get hurt.
someone
Yeah,
get, oh, really, they did,
and he ran a stop sign, so.
oh, my.
All right.
Main thing is people need to be careful, just to drive by the, you know, if you're driving anything, whether it's a motorized wheelchair, or if it says stop, you need to stop, you know.
Yeah.
We'll look into it. You got anything else? That's it. Josh, I know you got something for us.
So Billy and I had talked last week, about your water main extension out on 550, somewhere out there. I actually drove by it today, got a nice scenic view of Gibson County with the road closed. So for the water main extension, what you're supposed to do is file a notice of intent to construct a water main through IDEM. On that notice of intent, it's a pretty simple, straightforward form, but I have to sign it, you have to sign it, Billy has to sign it, certifying that this is gonna be constructed per Indiana code. It's gonna follow all the rules and regulations. I would feel a lot more comfortable, I believe Billy would as well, if there was some kind of design, if nothing else, just to make sure that it is as straightforward and simple as we all think it is. It's not a full-blown design, but a little bit of survey, a little bit of design, just to have something that we are all confident with, that you can hand it to whoever's gonna do the work, and they're gonna do it per your specifications. Do it the way that Billy wants it done, do it the way that the state of Indiana wants it done. Just something in hand that documents that, we've at least done something with it. And then, again, make sure there is nothing crazy out there that would require anything more. I believe because the construction's probably going, I would say would be under 25,000. I don't know if you've got any quotes on that at all, or anybody's talked about it. Gut check, I think it will be under 25,000 for the construction part of it. I don't think you have to have a full-blown plans and specs. You don't have to put it out to bid, or under 150,000, it's actually a quote, but it's a formal quote, not like you guys going out and getting quotes, but you actually have to have the process. You have front-end documents, a whole thing of specs. This would just be probably 2 pages, plan on 1, the really important specs, pipe material, any local codes that you have, anything that Billy wants. So really just 2 pages, kind of straight to the point on that. But what we are, we talked about, I think the quickest way to handle it, if you are wanting our assistance with filing that permit, the notice of intent, and then some survey and design assistance, is to do a task order that references the master services agreement from 2021 that we have with the town. The task order 2, we had a task order 1, actually ended up not needing it, but task order 2 is for $10,000. It's on a time and materials basis, so it's whatever work we do, we bill for it. It's not a lump sum where it's just 10,000. We're not getting paid unless we're doing the work.
Right.
Running an estimate on my end, I think to do all of that work is probably somewhere around 7,000, but it leaves a little bit in there in case something does come up. I don't believe you need right-of-way, or not right-of-way, like property research, easement, assistance. I don't believe, or I think Billy said you did not need that. We're gonna run through county right-of-way, but if you did, we could use some of that additional just to verify that you do or don't need easement. But I don't think you do.
Right.
And then it'd also help with any, the remainder of that. If we don't use it, it doesn't come to us or anything. But if there's anything else throughout the year that you just need something real quick, we can do that too.
Alright. So this, just to get you guys up, this is because conversations that I've had with the county councilman and conversations that Billy's had with the surveyor's office, multiple different ones, and then it finally just came down to we need to do the whole blueprint permit process before they can approve the right of way to use their right of way, the counties.
Okay, okay.
So we're just making sure that we're getting all of our Ts crossed and Is dotted and.
So are you saying you're not gonna have to have a spec sheet, you're just gonna have to have a general plan of where we're going?
I believe the county just really wants a plan showing where it's gonna run. IDEM actually doesn't require that you submit the plan and specs. That's why we can get away with just putting the important stuff on there.
Okay.
But for everybody's, cover yourself, it'd be good to at least say, hey, we had it on here, they were supposed to follow it. It'd probably end up being part of your agreement that you have with whatever contractor you hand this off to, that this is, we've done the engineering on it, this is what you have to stand by, in order to fulfill your contract with the town.
Right, and we did contact a local excavating contractor that was not comfortable creating a blueprint to give, so that's why we're going through the engineers, which bumps up the price a little bit, but
It's one of those that, it's simple enough, you probably don't need it, but, God forbid you do, something happens.
so.
And, discuss it. I know I just got it out. Billy and I just talked last week, but if you need time, take time, read through it. The task order just references the master services agreement from 2021.
Right.
We're on your schedule, so we know.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna just hang on. You're good with it? Go ahead and get the engineering started.
We got an estimated fee,
Right,
doesn't mean we're gonna spend that.
right.
I'm assuming if we go over, we're gonna have to have a conversation.
And it is basically what we already had with them.
So, let's get this job done.
I agree. All right, make a motion to approve task order number 2, 2025, on-call services with Wessler Engineering.
The second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you got permission to proceed. Yeah, that'll get that project done and get that money spent that's supposed to have been spent a long time ago. Okay. Do you guys have anything else?
There was mention of papers that might be given to us that we may want to show a lawyer to see what it, do you remember any of that last meeting? That we would sign, if we want to sign it? No?
Well,
Does that
I
have to-
believe that's what she was talking about.
With the ordinance?
The ordinance, the electric and all that, and then in their name, and then if they ever sell their property, then it's passed to the next person.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's probably.
That's
yeah,
what that is.
That's what that is, okay.
And I have contacted, is it Greg Kiesel, the surveyor?
Yes.
And we are on his books, but he said it's probably gonna be several weeks because he is really booked right now.
Okay.
But we're down for him.
All right, so once we get those ordinances taken care of and get all that finalized, then we'll get those to you and you can run them past your attorney and make sure everything is okay on your end and everybody's in agreement, okay?
Only took
We're,
25
we're,
years.
we're just trying to make
Took
it,
25 years.
we're just trying to make it right for the future so that it continues to be covered like it should be.
Can you believe we waited that long? We went camping lots of times
Just because it was raining?
when the red light went on.
It's raining in Indiana, we gotta go to Kentucky.
I can go into detail if you want, but I don't want that camera down there to hear it.
All right, you're up.
I would like to introduce myself, if you don't mind. Daryl Schmidt, I'll give you just a little bit of background. I'm our new state senator. Was elected last fall to replace Mark Messmer. I'm a farmer up by Otwell in DuBois Pike County line, grew up in Pike County. Spent my previous few years on the DuBois County Council, and then last year when this opportunity presented itself, I decided to get involved and give back. I came today, if you don't mind if I approach, I've got some information regarding revenue projections for next year to help you guys in budgeting. And we developed the staff, we developed kind of an outline of everything Senate Enrolled Act 1 to help people understand about the property tax changes, things that are coming on, kind of the long-term view, and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
I'm going to grab these quick. You mind that, folks?
Absolutely.
This will be everything Senate Enrolled Act 1, just kind of a paper we put together just to try to help you guys facilitate thoughts and try to get any questions answered as you're going through the budget process. This here is the most current version of the budget, of revenue projections moving forward, 26 through 2028. There's been some confusion out there. A lot of people are looking at, they were calling what major revenue decreases. What it actually was basically of the numbers that were out there were a loss of potential unrealized revenue, right? In what you'll see there in your first column will be the 25. The headings are on the front page, okay? Then you'll be on the back page. But the first set of columns is 2025 through 2028. 25 is your actual, what your budget was in 2025. And then the second, third, and fourth are the what your revenues would have been without Senate Enrolled Act 1. If we would have continued raising property taxes, at the 4% MLGQ, okay, the second set of columns there, it says, if you look on the front, estimated net levy under Senate Enrolled Act 1 and House Enrolled Act 1427. So this is a combination of everything that, all the changes that went in, that are going into effect. So that has the business personal property tax changes, all of the changes will be reflected in those estimates. That's 26 through 28. The third set of columns are actually the estimated revenue change from previous years, okay? And then the last set of columns is the percent increase or decrease. Okay, so if you look, there was a lot of fear where people are going to be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars or, different amounts. Where the confusion was you take your 2025 revenues, okay, and if we would have continued to raise property taxes through, okay, in 26 through 28, you would have been at say 2025 plus 10, right? Okay, so with the reductions in property taxes, 2 years out, you might not be, you'll be at 2025 revenues, maybe plus 2 or 3. So it's still going to be typically an increase, just not as much of an increase it was. So what people were viewing as losses from 2025, that was the confusion. People were thinking, oh, we're going to lose, hundreds of thousands. It was a loss of unrealized rate of increase, right? So, but if you go back to, just go down to, I guess is it the third page here, Owensville Civil Town. As you go across through those, $492,117, which is basically what I'm showing your 2025 revenues, okay? Then the second set of columns here will be your actual, so in 26. So it'll be $491,342, which actually will be a net loss of $775 in revenue. That's the projection from what your 26 budget will be from your 2025 budget, okay? These will be at, this what I gave you is good until it's not here in about 2 weeks. So, and I want to get you guys' emails afterwards, and the plan is Braden, my legislative assistant, we're going to be sending out to each unit revenue projections. Somewhere between the 10th and the 14th of July, we'll get last month's projections of revenue. So this will be changed as you're going, on all the formulas of revenue coming in. So we'll be able to give you updates, going through. So I'll make sure and get your email, and we'll have an email update as we're moving forward. And I guess just a little brief overview, and then we can ask questions, or anybody that has questions. Back in 2023, April of 2023, after the 23 session was over, I was on the county council back then. I was Darrell the farmer, but I knew that you could hear them. They were starting to have study committees involved in 2023. Indiana has one of the most complicated property tax systems in the country, which we all know that because you can't figure out what your taxes are, right? I thought I knew a lot when I was on the county council. Now I realize I didn't really know as much as I thought, and I'm still learning. I still don't have all the answers. So they started these study committees 2 years ago, and what the basic goal of this is, it's like a 7-year plan to try to simplify and make the property tax system more transparent for the state of Indiana, which, I welcome that, and I'm happy to get involved and help that. The other thing is the idea is to try to get more control driven down to the local level, because at the local level we can make better decisions, or at least in my opinion, we can make better decisions than the federal government or the state government can make for us, okay? So that's the ultimate goal on this, is more transparency and give us more local control. There's gonna be a few bumps in the road, but the idea, and you'll see in the pretty pamphlet there, the goal is to go from a levy-based system to a rate-based system. And as we move forward and get down the road, we will have the flexibility to have input on what our property tax rates will be, and the lit rates, the local income tax rates that now are basically dictated by the county. Those are going to be broken out. There was a lot, you hear a lot of fear that, okay, we're losing, the lit taxes are going away. We're going to lose our public safety tax, our fire departments can't get funded, our police departments can't get funded. Theoretically, that's true. At the end of 2027, they're going to go away, but January of 2028, they're going to be changed. And the idea is to break it apart. Any municipality over 3,500 and over in population, it'll be in that paper. You can look. They'll be able to do their own lit. Okay. So right now, where it gets collected as a county and then kind of goes different directions, that will be broken out. There will be a county lit. Basically, the county will have a local income tax, and that'll take care of, and I'm not sure exactly in Gibbs County, most counties, they pay for the fire department, or I'm sorry, the ambulances, okay? And they're paying for the jail. So there's certain functions that the county provides for every resident in the county. So that will be in a county lit. Well, then the municipalities above 3,500, we're going to have the ability to set their lit rate for their police departments and things. Okay, now entities under 3,500, there's going to be and I'm not sure if it's going to be through an ordinance or what, but you will have the ability to set a local income tax rate, but it will be administered through the county. So anybody under 3,500 will be administered through the county. So the details on this, they're still being worked out. So, and then to go back to my levy based to a rate based on property taxes, ultimately, if we know, like the 1%, where all our homes, our homesteads are basically at the 1% cap, okay? Those entities will, say if your home's worth $150,000, okay? Over a 7-year period, that will be phased in to where at the end of the 7 years, there will be a 2/3 deduction. So basically $100,000 in this scenario of your assessed value you would not pay property taxes on, you would pay property taxes on that last 50,000. Okay, the 2%, which are apartment complexes, land, those will end up, if they're 150,000, will basically have a $50,000 assessed value deduction, you know, and then they would pay property taxes on the other 2/3. Well, the 3%ers, which are like corporations, factories, you know, businesses, they'll pay property taxes based on 100% of their assessed value. So when you saw business personal property taxes being eliminated for the corporations, a lot of individual deductions are going to go away. It's not that they're going away and one group is trying to get the whammy over the other. The ultimate goal is once we get to year 7, it'll be a simplified system that we can all understand, and we'll have the ability between people who are clamoring for lower property taxes. The goal, I guess, is not to make a shift from property taxes to income taxes, okay? Think about over the last number of years, you know, and I've got 6 months of experience. I made it through my first session, so I don't know all the details. But as we go back a number of years, the state income tax has been going down, okay? So now I look at it as the state income tax is going down, so if we're using a local income tax here, and theoretically some people will say that the local income tax is going up, but it's more of you take and don't collect at the state level, you collect it more at the local level, and then we administer it, and we make the decisions, and we're empowered to make the decisions that work best for us. Okay? Now, and it's an accountability tool as well, right? If people are clamoring for more services and they're willing to pay a higher local income tax because they need and want those services, they will. And if they don't want to pay the local income taxes and want those shrunk, well, then they'll have to understand that then they'll be able to see if we have to cut some kind of services, you know, it's going to be more tangible and you're going to be able to see that at the level. That's the overarching philosophy, as I've learned, you know, being up there and getting it. So that's the goal of what's happening is actually to simplify, more transparency, and more efficiency, you know. One of my personal goals up there is there's a lot of great people. It can be, you know, in Bureau of Motor Vehicles or whatever function at the state level, a lot of great people, but the system itself and the bureaucracy itself is kind of out of control, you know. There's no reason that we should have to wait 45 minutes on hold and some dumb phone robocall, well, you know, waiting to get somebody. The idea is to simplify it, and, you know, us as taxpayers, you know, we're the customers, you know, of the state government, if you will. So it needs to be more responsive to us and getting the decisions down to us. That's the way I see it in a nutshell, is the overall arching goal, looking at the, you know, trying to see the big picture. Now, there's going to be some bumps in the road. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if I don't have the answers, I'm going to find it. That was the only reason I decided to get involved, was just to try to help. So,
Are you doing away with the veterans' tax abatements? Are they, because I was told I'm a disabled veteran.
the tax deductions?
The tax deductions.
Okay, well, see, that's a misconception. It is, but it's not. What is being done is it's being changed from a deduction, a larger deduction of your income, to an actual credit at the bottom, okay? I've been told, and there's like 1,500 bills that we were going through. So those are the same questions I ask, and it's my understanding when this comes out, it will actually be a net plus for veterans. It will not be a negative, okay? Most of this stuff, and if it's wrong, I'd be happy to answer it or specifically find out your questions, but right now there are deductions that you're getting, okay? I'm not a veteran, or I'm not 65 enough yet to know all that, but the idea was going from a credit on your taxes to actually a deduction on your taxes to an actual credit. So it's supposed to be a net gain, because I was getting a ton of questions from, and if not, I'm happy to answer your questions now or later or whatever, and get you to the right people to answer your specific question. But it was supposed to be an actual net positive.
So I'm looking at your numbers here too, and I'm just using my calculator because I'm not a mathematician. But on a lot of these numbers on Owensville, like for 2027, we're negative $30,131 in our budget. And that might be negative 0.2%, but that's a lot of money for the town of Owensville. On Owensville, if you're looking at the middle one with I'm assuming it's kind of confusing, it's estimated net levy under the new
May I
act
approach?
right here. I mean, if you're
Jacob,
comparing these
may I look-
numbers,
may I look?
yes, here's the old numbers, here's the new numbers.
Yes.
And it goes down $30,000, so I mean, that might be a negative 775, but $30,000 for Owensville is a lot of money.
Well, that is a reduction in potential revenue. If we would have continued with the property tax increase that we had, these would have been your revenue. So the revenue before Senate Rolled Act would have been 543, okay? Now, this is 492, next year's 491 for 2026, so it's a negative 775,000. Now, this will be your number, 513, so yes, it is 30,000 less if we would have continued to raise taxes the way we were. And this, but it's actually a net increase of 21,600 over the budget that we have this year. So it's a $21,000 increase from now, but it's 30,000 less than projections if we would have continued with the property tax increases the way it was.
Okay, but don't we get our funding for municipalities from property taxes and not income taxes?
Those are property tax numbers here. These are all property tax numbers. This
Okay,
has
but you
nothing
said
to do
something
with your
about
local income.
tax. You said we can make up for it with income taxes.
This will be, as we move forward, at the end of, right now, 26 and 27, your local income taxes will remain the same, okay? At the end of 2027, it's gonna be broken down to where in 2028, you guys are gonna have the option to create and have your own local income taxes, okay? You'll be separated from the county. They'll administer it, but you will have your choice to do that. Those numbers that you're looking at are the property tax revenues, okay? So you're looking at it as a 30,000 decrease from what you potentially could have had if we would have
Yes.
continued to raise property taxes year over year. But it's actually 22,000 over what you have now. Other than the 775 for 26, 2027 will go up 21,000 from 2026.
And so how do corporations who get all these tax abatements to build plants in our county, how does that factor into this? Are they still exempt? Do they still get their tax abatements?
That
Or
is
are we
up to-
gonna get property taxes from them?
That's another thing as far as local control. That's gonna be up to your local governments to give tax abatements. That's all part of the whole process. So that will be up to the local
But it's a
governments to do that.
state law, correct? It would be a state law, correct?
Far as what?
As far as this is concerned, so is there going to still be an exemption for corporations to come in and get tax abatements?
That'll be whatever your local government decides. The local governments take care of all tax abatements. That's not a state thing. That's what the local governments are doing. The whole idea is to get everything back here to the locals where we're making our own decisions.
Okay.
I'll give you guys, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm just here to try to help and to try to help everybody understand and clear it. Like I said, this is my first go around through. I've been there for 6 months, so I don't have all the answers. I'm happy to try to find out, and I'm trying to explain the process as much as possible. And this is basically, this is the long-range plans that have been developed even long before I was there.
But I am pretty sure that the corporations, the tax abatements for them being exempt is through a state statute, but you can give me your email, and we can talk later.
Yes.
How much research has been done with regard to the changes in the property taxes versus the ability to charge a local income tax? As far as, maybe areas in the state that may have low incomes versus, their property. And then they have all their municipalities depending on their property tax, and now they've got to turn around and put a burden on their income to try to offset that loss of funding.
The goal is not to make a shift from property taxes to local income taxes. This is a tool for you that you guys will be able to use. I don't have exact numbers on what that's gonna be, but that's not the whole idea. Once we get through this, in my opinion, this is gonna be a modest property tax savings and a modest affect the local government. It's not gonna be near as dramatic, in my opinion, as what everybody has feared that it's gonna be. And everything, I guess, the closest I can get to answer your question, as I look at the data, it's affecting different municipalities differently, you know. We're not, I don't believe we're gonna change fundamentally where we collect our taxes, okay? Property taxes are stable, you know. In April of this year, everybody knows that a week before we were trying to be done with the budget, all of a sudden they came up with $2.3 billion shortfall, okay? Based off of revenue projections from January, February, March of 2024 through when we were in session, January, February, and March of 2025, they had about, the budget people had about a $300 or $400 million cushion in case there was a little reduction, and it showed that it was $2.3 billion less, okay? So that's where a lot of the last minute scrambling was going on. And of that, I looked at the revenues, where the revenues came from, whether it was income taxes, you know, individual income taxes, sales taxes and things. Everything was relatively steady except one, and actually in this case, it was the corporate income tax payments. In other words, the amount of money the corporations were making, was down 25.9%. So that was from 1 year to the next. So that was where the big reduction was. So that's, to your fact, that's how income taxes on the state.
So we're being punished because corporations aren't paying their taxes?
No, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Their amount of profits they made were down. That would be like saying if we reduced our income, if we took a 25% pay cut and we paid taxes on 25% less of our money.
Well,
That would be the amount of corporate taxes that were paid because the corporations didn't make any profit. And that's not why we're being penalized. I'm just saying that's an example why the stability is not there in income taxes versus corporate taxes.
I'm just saying with your projected numbers here, and you can say it however you want to.
It's really
Owensville
not mine
cannot
personally,
afford, well, you provided this.
Yes.
With the numbers here provided, it's gonna hurt Owensville and small towns in Indiana to lose 20, 30,000. And so we make up for it in 2028 with income taxes. This is just going to hurt. It's just going to hurt people. And it's gonna hurt fire departments and ambulances, and it's going to hurt municipalities. It's already hard enough to get money for parks and recreation and funding, and this is going to hurt.
It's not a loss, I'm saying, but I mean, I'm not gonna argue the fact. It's a reduction in revenue, and everybody was clamoring for property tax relief because I'm gonna guess you're not happy with your property taxes and the amount of money you're paying for property taxes.
My property taxes are fine. I'm happy to pay what I'm supposed to be paying. I just don't want, I love Indiana, I love our small towns, and I'm a small town person, and I don't wanna see people have to struggle.
I know, and that's the whole idea why they're trying to get the decision-making down to where we can make those decisions ourselves. You guys will have the ability to make the decisions on your property tax rates and your local income tax rates. That's the whole goal of it.
All right, thank you.
Just trying to help give information and, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to, I'll get the veterans information for you on whatever specific ideas or topics that you have. Any other questions? I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just kind of came down to try to help and answer questions and give you as much information as possible. And kind of give you the long-term view of the, you know, how it is moving forward to get more control to us at the local level.
I don't have any questions.
I'm happy to,
I feel like-
you guys, you've got my number. I can reach out anytime. I'm happy to help get you all the information you need, and I'll get your emails and try to keep you in the loop on as information as it's made available, so I'll make the best decision. That's why I'm involved to try to do it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks.
All right. Chief Wade, you have anything?
Nope, just spectator.
Dion? Nothing? Mr. Parker? Vanessa, you got anything?
I just wanted you, make sure you guys seen on the public meeting for the budget is September the 2nd at 6 p.m. And the adoption will be September 16th at 6 p.m.
Do I need to be there because that's my BFW meeting night?
No,
Okay.
no. But I will need all council members
Okay.
at both of them.
So September 2nd,
Uh-huh.
Do we want to have a meeting over it
besides
to
the council.
discuss that specifically? I know we had talked about, being more involved in that,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily that we're going in saying, hey, we're gonna throw out everything Vanessa did. But at least maybe have a better understanding of it rather than just,
Maybe come in an hour early, an hour before the regular meeting, maybe.
well, I'm just talking about leading up to it. I don't know what you, I'm just throwing it out there. We don't have to, but
I think it'd be a good
I think it's a
idea.
good idea.
Yeah, we talked about that.
be good to know where things are going, so we're not,
Okay, what's the, get a date set up?
Yeah, since June is closed out, so I will be working on bank statements, trying to get June all closed and everything. And then I can print my reports, and then we can do it sometime the 1st of July,
that's fine.
yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay.
Corey, you got anything else?
No.
I'm good.
I'm good.
You done?
Nothing else.
All right, I have nothing. With that being said, make a motion to adjourn the Owensville Town Council meeting July 1st, 2025 at 7:43 PM.
I second.